There was this man named Jimmy, and Jimmy said that when he was a young boy, he grew up outside of Roanoke, Virginia, in this, you know, two-story, um, 1950s style home. And he said their backyard was up against like the woods. And he said you would see like a lot of wildlife and different things that would come out of the woods and stuff, but it really wasn't that bad, living out in the middle of nowhere. He said one night he happened to be like in his backyard and he's sitting on the porch. And he said as he was sitting there, he heard like a knocking sound, like, you know, and he's like, what is that sound? And he said it was coming from within the woods. And he said he heard it again, and he couldn't figure out what it was. So he went inside and was kind of like, "Hey, Dad, there's like a knocking sound coming from out there." And his dad said, "Oh, it's probably a deer, and it's probably them hitting their horns or their antlers against the tree." And so he didn't really think much of it. The next morning, he said that he went outside into the backyard again to go out and get the stuff that he had on the porch, and he found this very large clump of hair. And so he ran to his dad. He's like, "Dad, look, there's like all this hair in the back." And his dad looked at it, and his dad was kind of like, "Is this human hair? Is this some kind of animal hair? Like, why is it's really weird that was in a clump on the back deck?" So a couple weeks pass, and he said, he just got a bad feeling about those woods, like something was off. So he said the time was about 12:30 at night, and he didn't know why, but he got this feeling he should go in the backyard. So he said he got up out of his bed and he goes to the back door and he opens it up and he goes and like just stands on the back deck. And as he's looking out into the woods, he said he's seen movement. And coming out of the woods, he said, was what looked like a man, but it was sort of on all fours, but turned backwards. And this thing was kind of crawling like if it was, facing its back facing the ground. And he said this thing just sort of walked around his yard in a couple circles. And then he said it turned its head and it looked at him and smiled. And he said right at that moment, something grabbed him on the back. It was his dad. And he's like, Dad, like, are you seeing this? Like, what is this? And his dad's like, what are you talking about? And he's like, that in the yard. And his dad looked, there was nothing out there. And he said, what are you doing out of bed? Like, it's late, it's 12:30 at night. Like, you need to be inside in bed. And he's like, but Dad, I've seen something out here. And he said his dad wouldn't believe him. So that night he goes to bed. Next morning, said he woke up and his dad said, like, you need to get in here, Jimmy, right away. I need to talk to you. So he goes and he talks to his dad, and his dad's like, hey, did you leave a bunch of like animal carcasses on the back porch? And he's like, no. And he's like, you could be serious with me. Like, have you been doing like weird stuff out in the backyard? Is that why you were up last night? And he's like, no, Dad, I'm serious. Like, I'm telling you, it was that thing I seen in the yard. And his dad's like, you know what? This is messed up. Like, you cannot do this anymore. You're grounded. So a few more weeks after this, he said, once again, he got the urge to get up out of bed and go outside. And he goes in the backyard and he's standing on the porch. And he said, all of a sudden, like he sees this very tall man walk out of the woods. And he said, it looked like if you ever seen kind of those performers that wear stilts, it had this very long pants and, long sleeve shirt. And it was just walking like it was on stilts. And then he said it got down on all fours. It walked up to him and it started like whispering something in his ear. And then he said it crawled off back into the woods. So like once he kind of realized like what was going on, he ran back inside. He tells his dad, he's like, I'm scared. Like there's something going on. Like I'm seeing something in the backyard and I'm afraid it's going to take me. Well, he said for a couple weeks after that, like his dad actually believed him at this point in time. And he said his dad every night would be sitting outside with a firearm. And he said this one particular night, he heard like boom, 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 like the sounds of shots going off. And he comes running to the backyard because he knew it was his dad. And he sees his dad just kind of like looking around, all scared. And his dad comes inside and was like, yeah, look, we're packing up. We're leaving the house. We're not going to live here anymore. And so he said they moved out the next day.